Next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.
Step back, call game like Dame. Now they all know our name. Crossover, then go straight to the hezzy. I'm a dunker like Denny. Small market, yeah, we making it big. Now we got too many Kamaras. Clinging on guards like Drew. You can't even move, ain't nobody stopping us. Rip City turn up, we making some noise. Pass to the present, we get it like Roy. More to be rockin', we bringing the force. Yang with a dime, that's a bucket, of course. If straight and by the dunk, you gotta move. Young and still hustling like Scoop. Come and tap in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers officially moved into 8th place in the Western Conference after they beat the Anthony Edwards-less Minnesota Timberwolves 108-104. The Blazers' first win over the Timberwolves this season. I forget the last time they beat this team. Took a little injury luck for the Blazers, but they've won their third straight game in a row. And they're officially in 8th place. We've been talking about trying to catch the Golden State Warriors for 8th place all year. But by the time we could catch the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Clippers passed the Portland Trail Blazers up. But the Clippers are on a massive skid. They just lost back-to-back games against the New Orleans Pelicans. They've lost multiple games in a row. And the Blazers are taking advantage of that after losing the opening game of this road trip against a injury-plagued Philadelphia 76ers team. The Blazers have turned around this road trip and took care of business today against a Timberwolves team missing Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid. A huge victory for the Blazers, which saw them blow an 18-point lead. An 18-point lead. There was a lot of stuff in this game that have caused a lot of Blazers losses so far this season. But Jeremy Grant steps up in the clutch, hits 2 clutch threes for the Blazers, including 1 to put them ahead 2 in the final minute. And then he attacks a rebound, gets a clutch rebound, goes to the free throw line, makes both his free throws to put the Blazers up 2 possessions, and then Donovan Klingan gets an interception to steal the game. Great game from Klingan. Great clutch play from Grant. He scored 26. This was an absolutely awesome win, and I'm happy to finally freaking say that the Blazers are in 8th. I felt like this is just kind of like a pipe dream all season long, but now it feels very, very real. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Oh, good. I'm glad the Blazers didn't blow this game after a pretty good first half. They completely played like they normally do to lose the lead, and this offense just completely gets stagnant, and every possession is a struggle in the second half. Jeremy should have actually gotten 3 more free throws than or possible point attempts that he got, and I don't know how that returned, but other than that, just happy that the Blazers pulled out a victory so we can all start our weekend on the right foot.
Yeah, they kind of salvaged this road trip. It looked kind of bleak given the fact that they lost to a 76ers team without Tyrese Maxey, without Joel Embiid, without Kelly Oubre to start off this trip, a game in which the Blazers were like 8.5 or 9.5 point favorites going into that one, and the Sixers controlled that game. The Blazers went into Minnesota tonight as 1.5 point underdogs. It was pretty much a coin flip at tip-off, given the injuries on Minnesota's side of things. But this was the type of game that I didn't have much faith in the Blazers. You know, they have not done a good job of beating teams trying to win in the past couple of months. I went over it on the last post-game show. The Blazers against teams in the bottom 9 that are trying to tank have won their last 9 games against those teams, but the last time the Blazers had beaten a team that was trying to win basketball games, regardless of who they were missing, was the Suns game right after the All-Star break, and they were missing a ton of players. That was a game the Blazers won 92-77. Before that, you have to go all the way back to... It's a long time. That's why I don't know off the top of my head. January 22nd against Miami is how... Or no, maybe that Philadelphia game on February 9th. But basically, you're talking about a 2-month stretch in which the Blazers had only beaten a team trying to win basketball games twice, and both of those teams were teams missing key players. Now, the Timberwolves were missing key players today, but the Blazers got this done on the road. The Blazers were not favored to going into this game, and the Blazers experienced a lot of the problems that will probably continue to plague them. This game ultimately for me became, okay, well, we know what the issues are. We know the problems that continue to plague this team. They'll continue to plague this team.
They're not going to fix it.
It's not going to get fixed, but can they find a way to win this game and put themselves in 8th place, or will they find a way to lose this type of game. The past couple of months, they've always found ways to lose these types of games. You can look back on March 6th to that game against Houston. The Blazers lost by 7 after controlling the majority of that game. You can look back to March 10th, that home game against Charlotte, the Portland lost 103-101 after having an 18-point lead and controlling the majority of that game. The Blazers had an 18-point lead in this game. Completely blew it, but then found a way to win. So that, I'm very, very happy with the win in itself, just because they found a way to get it done. Somebody had needed to step up and make a couple of shots, given how abysmal the offense was in the second half for the Blazers, and Jeremy Grant was that guy. He saved this game for the Portland Trail Blazers. Pretty much nobody has been stepping up in clutch time against good opponents, against teams that play solid defense. And this Minnesota Timberwolves team, even though they're missing Edwards, missing Naz Reid, they have a lot of good defensive players. They have Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, two of the elite defenders in the NBA. It came down to, okay, their offense gets completely stagnant. They blow a lead. Can somebody step up and find a way to win this game for the Blazers? And it was Jeremy Grant scoring 8 points there late. Huge stuff from him to step up and seal this game for the Blazers.
Yeah, Grant was huge down the stretch. The offense was just really sad. It was so frustrating to watch, and thankfully Jeremy stepped up with those buckets, because it once again felt like we were just trying to just force it in from the outside, like dribble off the perimeter, and it just was not working against a still decent defensive lineup, like you mentioned, and yet the Blazers still called it, or still kept trying it. One of my biggest problems too is the Blazers had called several timeouts in the second half, and every time they came out of a timeout until that last one underneath the hoop, whenever they just were bringing the ball up after a timeout or passing it from the side on a timeout, it was always just like an ISO Denny play. And that's like, can we please just run a play out of a timeout and get a basket? Like, why are we doing the same thing that isn't working for the reason we had to call a timeout? We just go back and do the same thing over and over again. I don't get it, man. But thankfully tonight, Jeremy, he was really good inside the arc. I think, 6 for 7 inside the arc, 4 of 9 from 3. Made all the big plays down the stretch, and really made up for a lot of people no-showing in that second half after we scored 68 in the first half, only scoring 40, even with Grant's efforts there at the end.
Grant's 8 at the end took them from 32 to 40 second half points to win this game.
Right. And so I guess the defense kind of saved them a little bit too. But, without Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid, you would have expected a decent defensive effort. It would have been pretty sad if we gave up like 120 points to this Minnesota lineup. So, thankfully, Jeremy's the type of guy who definitely can win you games every once in a while. And, he's had some games lately where he's played really well. He's had some games where he's kind of disappeared or not been a factor. But he's absolutely capable of winning a game like this. And I also, before it gets too far into the show, I have to mention Donovan Klingan had one of the more impressive Blazer stretches of about 4 or 5 minutes in that second quarter that I've seen in a long time as a Blazer fan. And he was just doing everything. Most of the first half, but there was a stretch in the there was so many good plays in a row. It was hard to remember everything that happened, but he's getting like blocks on one end, rebounds, and on the other end, finishing inside. I think he hit a 3 in that stretch. It's just it was really cool to see him not only have a good game, but to do that mostly against Rudy Gobert in the first half as well.
Absolutely. Following up last game in which he had a career-high 28 points, he has 17 points and 11 boards in the first half. This is back-to-back insane first halves for Donovan Klingan. Finishes with 21 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, only 1 turnover. Has 3 blocks, including a fourth-quarter block against Gobert. An impressive block against Gobert. Finishes 9 for 13 from the field. Was 1 for 5 from 3, which means he was 8 for 8 inside the arc. Got to the line once, made both his free throws. The 3-point shot, one of them was a grenade that was contested. The 1-3 he hit was he caught the ball basically running in transition.
Run, yeah.
And, he's never gonna like shoot the ball off the run. Like he's gonna stop and set himself because he's kind of a set shooter, and knocked it down. Lamar was talking about this. I can't remember ever seeing Donovan Klingan shoot a 3 running in transition like that on a head-to-head pass. And then he threw some awesome passes in this game. The Blazers, I thought when they built their lead, they were doing a good job of, when Klingan got the ball up top, like guys off the ball were moving, were setting up back cuts, etc. And Klingan was doing a good job finding them. And not all of them resulted in assists. Like some of the plays didn't result in buckets, but were nice feeds from Klingan. And the play on the run where he caught the ball on the run and finished, the play where he caught the ball in the short roll and was able to get a dunk out of it. You're starting to see him put all the pieces together and look like is top 10 not respecting him enough, top 10 center in the league? Because right now, the last 2 games he's played like an all-star center, and he's starting to do this more consistently. He's just raised the level of his game throughout this season. He had that stretch where it seemed like he wasn't 100% earlier in the season, where he was struggling, wasn't protecting the rim at the same level, was kind of struggling from 3. But I've been very pleased with his season. If he's going to have games like this to end off this season, then that is one of the biggest success stories of the season. Is Klingan cemented himself as the center on this team. Before the season, there was maybe a question or two, people wondering if Young Hansen could be that guy, or, maybe Klingan couldn't step up and be a top 10 starting center in the league. But, he's been an absolute beast, and he's been huge for the Blazers lately. The way he's playing, I'm proud of him, man. It's a joy to watch.
And like many people say in chat, and this is what we've been trying to say, even when people were coming in here hating on some of his bad games, or whether it's his inability to finish inside or have a go-to move or whatever, we always say he has traits of a winning player, and you need those kind of players on your team. And to just focus on some of the offensive things, I thought was kind of a disservice to the way he impacted our defense last year, going from one of the worst rim protecting teams to a decent rim protecting team. It's not easy for one player, especially rookie, to do that. And, we've had our struggles on defense, of course, this year in his second year. But I think this just shows you that it is how hard it is for one guy to hold that up and try to contain everything. And he's good enough to keep it afloat. But I feel like he's not getting much help from a guy like Tamani, who had a really good defensive year last year, but has kind of regressed on defense this year. I feel like Donovan's doing the best he can to hold this team up. Like you said, there might have been a little stretch where he wasn't doing a good job, and it's starting to be in question if he was part of the problem or not, but he's put all that to bed. And man, this guy just makes plays out there, and now he's making plays on both ends, right? Like it's offense and defense. And he's been such a lob threat. Some of those plays though, like he could have had a lot more points in this game if we would have thrown him better passes. I don't know why.
Did you notice the way they, on the pick and roll, they're kind of sending 2 towards the ball, the way they were crashing off the weak side towards his rolls? We don't talk about this a ton, but as a roll man, there's something called gravity. And a lot of people think of gravity in terms of, an on-ball player being able to draw a lot of defensive attention and warp the defense towards themselves, giving other players more space to operate. Of course, there's gravity off the ball as a shooter. That's kind of what floor spacing is, but a guy like Steph running off screens, etc. But there's also gravity as a roll man, setting these screens rolling hard to the rim, and as good as Donovan Klingan's been playing, the Minnesota Timberwolves defense, especially that second half, they were reacting to his rolls in a way that I don't know if I've seen this year. Like, they were flying into the paint to stop him. The Blazers, unfortunately, did not do a good enough job of recognizing that and were trying to force feed him. And this is kind of the issue when you don't have enough good shooters. It's like, okay, when the roll man's drawing in the defense like that, that's when, shooters are open because the defense is back in the paint. You want to be able to kick it out to somebody that can knock down a three. Unfortunately, that guy lately has not been Timberwolves Kamara. We'll talk about that. But, it's
I think until Grant hit those threes, they were 1 of 9 in the quarter, I think.
Yeah. They shoot 24% from three for the game. I'll put the team stats up here. But the defense, the way they're reacting to his rolls was kind of fascinating to watch because I haven't really seen a defense react like that to a Blazer big in, I don't know, maybe ever. Like, nobody reacted to Nurk like that on a Dame Nurk pick and roll. Dame was drawing the majority of the attention. So I thought that was fascinating. It was frustrating that the Blazers were. I like that they're trying to feed the big man, but you got to read the defense. And I feel like far too often they just decide, I'm going to try and feed Klingan no matter what the defense is doing. And it causes them some issues. But that was just something I noticed.
That's last game stats.
No, I just updated it. I know.
Okay.
I know they played the Timberwolves
okay, there
today.
we go.
Yeah. Before we get much into it, real quick, shout out to Mox, member for 45 months, says 8th, Grant, DC, Denny, keep Dame, Denny, DC. Grant, DC, Denny had some good moments in this game. Kind of a more frustrating second half. We'll talk about that. But thank you for the member message. Also coming up, we have something ceremonious that we're going to do in a few minutes. Eric has no idea what it is.
Okay. So the gravity thing. Did you watch the Blazer broadcast in the first half?
I watched the Blazers broadcast the whole game.
Remember at the beginning of the season? I remember we played the Lakers, and they had like JJ Redick talking about what a pest Tamani Kamara is, and then they played Minnesota opening night, and Anthony Edwards is talking about Tamani Kamara, and I forgot who else. There were several games in the first few games of the season where they just would ask the other coach about what it's like to play against Tamani on defense, and all of them were just gushing over Tamani, right? That's all gone away. Like none of that happens anymore. But now tonight it was like the other coaches asked about Klingan, and Finch was just like gushing about Klingan and how hard he is to stop and how he's an animal on both ends, and just kept praising him over and over again. Like it felt like it was just like, okay, now Klingan's that guy on our team that no one wants to play against. It used to be Tamani. It'd be awesome if it was both of them.
I know.
But unfortunately, the Tamani's kind of nowhere to be found right now.
On either end of the floor. Well, that's the thing is Finch saying all that, and then Klingan comes out and has 17 and 11 in the first half, and then watching the way they guarded him in the second half, like that absolutely seemed to me like it was a halftime adjustment to do a better job tagging the roll man, do a better job from the weak side of crashing into the paint to take that away. Quick look at the teams. Go ahead.
Well, Tamani had that. So he had that roll for a lay-in, right? Yeah. It was towards the beginning of the game. Yeah. They're like, okay, he made a good cut. Now let's see more of that. It's working. Every time you do that, the last couple games, you're getting an easy bucket out of it. Didn't see it again the rest of the game. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah. Frustrating.
And when he got kicked out to that corner three, I forgot how much time was left in the fourth quarter, but did anyone think that was going in? Did you think I was going in? Like,
part of me was like,
please, but like,
part of me was like,
had no confidence.
Part of me was like, if Damani's gonna make a corner three, it's gonna be the clutch one, and then he missed it.
Yeah.
I was like, of course he missed it.
Like,
And then he went,
and then corner in that situation.
I know, and then he went down on the other end and got scored on. Yeah, I don't know. I got more to say about Damani.
Randall saying like, "This is my time" or whatever he was saying after he got that and one, and after he just went right around Tamani and got the.
I know. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, including one of the turnovers, dude. But yeah, we'll get into the player-by-player stuff. Let's take a quick look at the team stats here. This is a game the Blazers won where they did not shoot the three ball well, 9 for 37. 9 for 37, not pretty at all. Timberwolves got to the line 5 more times in this game. I will say, I thought there was some terrible ref stuff in this game. Not as bad as the last 3 minutes of the Gonzaga game last night. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah, of course.
My voice is like 90% right now. I don't know if people can tell, but my voice was fine until I had to mercilessly boo the refs and then scream "ball don't lie" a couple of times last night. That was some BS. BS.
For those that don't know, Torrey went to both the BYU Texas and Gonzaga Kennesaw State game, right?
Yep.
How was that? Just that whole experience.
It was cool. I went to the second round like 3 years ago.
Okay.
There was like a little bit less of a Gonzaga contingent because there was there's a lot of BYU fans there. 50-year-old dudes with their hair dyed blue. Kind of. Yeah. Those types of. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was cool. But yeah, I mean, there is like 4 calls at the end of that game that were absolutely insane, dude. Like, the only thing that made sense to me is like these refs might actually have money on Kennesaw State with from the flagrant that was literally the same exact play as a play that happened in the game before that wasn't called a flagrant to the block call, the worst block call I've ever seen. Yeah, anyway, you guys came in here for a Blazers postgame show. I'm not going to rant about the Gonzaga refs, but yeah, that pissed me off. The refs in this game were frustrating. The Jeremy overturn was ridiculous. Dude, okay, we got to talk about this. How is it a flagrant foul if you step under a player landing from their jump shot? But it's not a foul at all if you kick their foot while they're landing from a jump shot. Can somebody tell me how that makes any sense at all?
Yeah, you're just in the space in the air, not on the ground. It's the same thing. But I don't know how that's incidental contact. And I see several people in chat saying Jeremy kicked his leg. And I thought he did kick his leg at first, but
yeah, I thought because he does do that. Yeah,
his leg barely moves forward, and then like I don't care if it does move forward a little bit. Where Randall's leg is not incidental contact. He's in the landing zone of Grant, whether Grant kicks his leg or not, and the only reason his leg kicks out is because Randall's leg hits it. So. Yeah, and it almost looked like he got him up top too with his hand.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I hate that overturn.
I will say, if we lost this play, I would have remembered more plays that annoyed me from the refs. But because we won this game, I completely forgot. Yeah.
Well, there was a bunch where like Klingan clearly got shoved from behind by Gobert, and no call. He was.
I'll say this though. This is the one Klingan critique because he played awesome today. But at some point, you have to adjust to the way the game's being reffed and what's being allowed. And pushing and shoving between he and Gobert was clearly being allowed.
Yeah, right.
And like, okay, for first time it happens, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, but after it's happened multiple times, like, dude, just adjust. I know you're getting frustrated, but like, battle him. They're letting you guys battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, like battle back at him. And if they call something against you that they're not calling on him, then then complain, then get T, whatever. You can get a T for all I care. I respect it. Maybe not close in a late game, but It's just sometimes I feel like the Blazers, when it gets late in the game and the refs start swallowing their whistle, the Blazers get very kind of complainy and soft, where there'll be more content that's being allowed, and instead of like adjusting to the way the game's being called late in the game, they'll start complaining and it will get into their heads and they will spiral because of it. I feel like we've seen that in multiple games this year. And I feel like we were seeing that a little bit in this game until Jeremy Grant came up with some huge shots, because the Timberwolves have played in playoff series. This is why I want the Blazers to get playoff experience, because that's the way a game is ref the whole game, and the Blazers need to experience at least 4 games, plus the play-in that they're going to be in, so maybe it's more. They need to experience that because all they know is like regular season basketball that isn't refed loosely like the playoffs are, and it seems to get in their heads a little bit. So we talk about the Blazers making the playoffs and how that can have good things for their development, be good for their future. I think that's one of those things, is learning how to play against physicality without it getting into your heads, without expecting a call every time that you're not getting. So that's something I would look forward to in a playoff series, is them hopefully overcoming that, because it's been a bit of an issue, and it was a bit of an issue in this game. And I think there's a couple times where Klingan, he got shoved a little bit, but it's like, dude, you're 7'2". Unfortunately, you got to be stronger than that. But luckily, you're 7'2", and you are stronger than that. You know what I mean? Like, just yeah. That's kind of my attitude towards it.
Well, I mean, Denny got a couple calls after this, but there was one where he drove kind of baseline and came up short of the rim, and he stopped and just yelled at the ref.
Yeah.
But he got fouled hard. Like how do the refs miss that call? And then that stupid. They call a rip-through foul at mid-court on him on the other end. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree. I do think – and, I mean, there's a lot of teams that do this, so it's not exclusive to the Blazers. But there are a lot of players that I think would be better if they adjusted to the way the game is being called, like you mentioned, instead of – always griping after every freaking play.
Yeah, like you get hit on the arm. That's not the type of play I'm talking about with this.
Yeah,
it's the like pushing and shoving, and like some of the on-ball physicality that the Blazers tend to struggle with. But yeah, I mean, we go back to the team stats here. So 17 turnovers. I mean, that's average. That's average.
Yeah, I don't know if they finished with 5 in the fourth quarter, but yeah, 5. They had 5 at one point in the fourth quarter. Just really tried to literally dribble it down their leg, but luckily they pulled it off.
I was going to type a comment back. It's something completely unrelated. But yeah, just reading live chat. They did a great job taking care of the ball to build that 18-point lead. They were doing a good job moving the ball side to side, and they weren't turning it over. But then second half, Minnesota came out with a lot more defensive intensity and pressure, and the Blazers struggled with it.
Well, then it doesn't help when we can't hit a freaking 3-point shot.
Yeah.
The 3-point shot was so bad in the second half.
And anything else jump off the page to you from this?
I don't know if anything really jumps off the page. This game, like, we should have dominated the paint. I know they still had Gobert and Randall, but nice to see them take care of business in that regard. Sending them to the line 29 times almost cost us the game too. Luckily, we got to the line just enough there at the end as well. But yeah, it's the only. I mean, the shooting and the turnovers continue to be a problem, and unfortunately, I think we're going to have to be talking about this the rest of the season. Yeah.
Unfortunately, going to be the way it is. But all right, let's do something ceremonious, okay? This is going to be a first. Do you have any ideas what I'm about to do?
Nope.
So, this is officially the first time in a win that we get to do Tankathon. Because we're not doing it for ourselves, because we're not in the lottery right now. We're not in the lottery right now. We don't have a pick, so it doesn't matter. It does not matter. We only do this in losses. So if you only tune into wins, you probably have no idea what this is. But when we lose, we do take thought sips. But I mean, we don't have a first round pick, so losing, it doesn't matter.
And so the 8th seed is important because if we win that game, we're the 7th seed. And if we lose that game, we get a home play-in against the 9-10 winner. So we're guaranteed at least 2 chances, with one of those being a home game if we lose the first game, or we get the 7th seed. So, yeah, pretty cool. But the downside is, like you're simming the lottery, we do lose our pick to the Bulls. And that came up quite a bit in chat last stream. Maybe we can talk about that here after the game. Like, what I know you feel, you've already mentioned that you feel playoffs would be better than getting, a late lottery pick. But yeah, we do lose that pick. It does, however, open up the ability to trade one more future first if they made a big move this summer, though.
Also, wow, look at this. Chicago big winners. Wild lottery sim. Now that we're not in it, they get the first and 15th picks. And Dallas second, Utah third, Atlanta fourth. Clippers got the Pacers pick. It also, here's the thing, like, I know the expectation is, okay, we'll make the playoffs next year. You never know, with health and this and that. I know we weren't that healthy this year, but the West is always loaded. Like, I mean, just look at, I don't know. I know the Pelicans are never healthy, but if they ever were healthy, they're 10-4 in their last 14 games because they're healthy. You know what I mean? Like, there's multiple teams that can be above 500 in the West. Can the Blazers get out of the play-in pack to get into the playoffs and convey their pick next year? The reason why I bring up this conversation is the Blazers have a right to swap with Milwaukee in 2028. They have a right to swap with Milwaukee if they have their 2028 first. If they don't make the playoffs by 2028, then they can't swap their first-round pick with Milwaukee. I know a lot of people expect to make the playoffs by then, but it is kind of nice if we make the playoffs this year to, A, get that playoff experience, B, open up all our future first, and C, solve that issue where we're not worried about that anymore because, we're guaranteed to have a first-round pick in 2028 to be able to swap with Milwaukee if Milwaukee's pick's better. And I think Milwaukee's pick will be better because basically the talk is right now, this offseason, Giannis will have the chance to sign a max extension. And if he doesn't sign a max extension, he's probably going to get traded. And with 1 year left on his deal, he's going to have a level of leverage that could result in Milwaukee getting back a not-so-good trade package. And if the Blazers have all their future picks and Milwaukee's picks, maybe, get into the playoffs and play well in the playoffs, maybe Giannis is convinced, like, okay, this team, maybe I will open it up to this team. Unlikely, but if you can win a couple of games against the Spurs in a first-round series because you played your way up to 7, you never know. You never know. But more realistically, is those Bucks picks are going to be freaking good if Giannis holds the cards this offseason and doesn't sign an extension. And if he does sign an extension, they still suck.
Yeah, they're not that good. Here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I know you wouldn't give up, like, as much as you would if you got that, like, go ahead from Giannis to do it. But, I mean, there is precedence for just going for it, man. Yeah. And hoping you convince him in that year that you're good enough to stay long term. That's when you have confidence in your organization, your coaching staff, whoever that is next year. You have confidence in Drew and Dame and stuff to keep him engaged and wanting to be here. And then it probably just comes down to results. Like, if they're in contention next year, why would he need to go somewhere else? If they aren't in contention, then, like, we're probably going to lose him. So, but that's the kind of risk, like, sometimes when you're a small market team, if you have the opportunity to do it, just go for it, man. And maybe he's unhappy here. He stays a year and leaves. But at least you can say, hey, man, we tried. Because like the chances of getting a championship just going the safe route all the time and just hoping like the 12th pick this year ends up being good, or like we somehow have some miracle trade in the future with those picks or something, or they get the first pick and it turns out to be a generational player, not a player like Greg Oden or something. Like it I mean, I say go for it if you have a chance to do it. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, but man, I feel like it's prime to just be like, okay, you know what? We have a couple older guys on our roster. Let's just go for it. And if it doesn't work out, we at least tried.
I think there's more of a case to taking a swing if you're able to get, a 7th or an 8th seed, play your way into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Compared to falling short. Because you feel just a little bit closer, where maybe the gap to jump isn't quite as big, even though, I mean, we're talking about playing games that are one game that decides it and ultimately isn't really that big of a difference maker. But regardless of how you feel about that conversation necessarily, trades or whatever, the overall point is, yeah, while it does suck to lose our pick, they're going to be losing a pick in a future year otherwise. I know this draft is better, I get it. But basically, you're losing it this year instead of losing it in a future year. And then there's, I think, upside to getting some playoff experience. And I think it's a good thing to not have to worry about, what if we don't have our pick in 2028 to swap with Milwaukee? And I think there's upside to having all future picks going into next season. And, whether it's they make a move in next year's trade deadline or whatever, you have the ability to move assets. And, I mean, it probably doesn't change the equation around the draft because you can trade the draft pick after the draft, and you can trade future first. Maybe you have one more tradable first by having all your future picks. I'm not sure. It's either a negligible difference or you have an additional one. But like at the trade deadline next year, if you have all your picks and you're playing well enough, that's a little extra ammo that you can put in play compared to, maybe you use the pick this year, draft somebody at, I don't know, 13, 14, whatever, and then they don't have much value at the trade deadline because they're not having a good rookie season. A good example of that is Young Hansen, for example. So I think there's a lot of benefits to losing the pick. I know a lot of people want to keep the pick, but I want a playoff spot. I want a 7 seed. I've said it all year. I want this team to play their way up to 7th, to get a series against San Antonio. If, I don't root.
Going to kill us, but
yeah, well, I don't root for this to happen, but like if Wemby wasn't available for whatever reason, I think the Blazers would have a good chance of winning that series. And yeah, it wouldn't be like winning that series for real, you know what I mean? But it would be cool to win a playoff series, even if it's against an injury-plagued team. Obviously, don't want to get it done that way. I wish we were competitive enough to beat them with Wemby. We're not. They're really good, but I do think with Wemby. They would have a chance at winning 1 or 2 games because that's a Spurs team that has multiple guys that can't really shoot, that maybe you can find a way to scheme against, and they don't have much experience. So while I don't think that causes them to lose a series against the Blazers, I think they have a couple things that are a little bit more exploitable than the defending champs do, for example. So the Spurs could beat the Thunder in a playoff series as well, but I do like the idea of playing the Spurs and the odds of winning 1 to 2 games if they play the Spurs. Now, am I predicting that if they play the Spurs? Not necessarily. I might predict a sweep because of the issues that we've seen down the stretch in this game, down the stretch in other games against the Spurs would be major issues. The lack of shooting from the Blazers would be major issues. But I think the odds for winning 1 or 2 games are greater against the Spurs than they are against the Thunder. And it would be cool to win that first playing game and just be straight up in the playoffs as a 7 seed. Like, that would be a great thing to me. So let me know in the live chat. Do you guys want playoffs or you guys want the pick? Playoffs or pick? Let me know.
Short of an injury like you mentioned, I guess the only real chance we have against the Spurs is hoping that they're peaking right now too early, and then by the time the playoffs come around, because they've been hot lately. I was trying to look up their record in their last like 20-some games, but I think it's like 19-3 or something like that.
Yeah. Side note, are you ready for Furman to beat UConn? Because I picked Furman in my bracket. And I have a good history of picking 15 seeds.
Did you end up having Wisconsin go far?
No. I liked Wisconsin going to the tournament, but didn't we have this conversation on stream? Maybe I was having this conversation with somebody else. You never trust a Big Ten team, even if they're playing well going into the tournament. Ohio State was playing great. They lose to freaking TCU. Wisconsin was playing great. They lose to High Point. They're the highest seed to lose so far. Never trust a Big Ten team going into the tournament.
Well, I thought you had mentioned that you liked Wisconsin.
I did. I liked the way they were playing. But I also liked the way that Iowa was playing when they had Keegan Murray as last year and won the Big Ten tournament, and I had them as a 5 seed going to the Final Four, and they lost in the first round. So ever since then, never trust a Big Ten team. I guess trust Nebraska, though. Like, there's always a couple random Big Ten teams that'll do really well, and the rest of the Big Ten will suck. The teams that are playing really well will be the ones that flame out, except for Tom Izzo. Max, what's going on, man? Says hello, Tori and Eric. Long time no talk. Why has it been a long talk, Max? Why has it been a long talk, man? Good to see you. Good to see you.
He's a Laker fan.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was
enjoying his Lakers right now.
True, Lakers are playing great, but for those Blazer fans that are
young Haunted fan, so maybe he's watching the remix.
Yeah, but for those Blazer fans that are back after missing a lot of time, because now that we're in 8th, we're coming back. You know what? We still appreciate you. We still appreciate you. Let's talk about players here. So, Jeremy Grant, 26 points, 10 for 16 from the field. I forgot to say this. I was really happy that in the final minute of a one-possession game that the Blazers were inbounding from the baseline instead of the sideline.
Right, yeah.
Wow, they drew up a play from the freaking baseline that got him an open 3. Dude, it's easier to inbound from the sideline cleanly than it is from the baseline.
I mean, obviously I want the 3-point shot there, and it was a good play, but as the Blazer broadcast mentioned, Denny has a wide open lay-in or dunk. If he just cuts to the basket, there was no one there. But yeah.
Well, I think Gobert saw that, and Gobert was like kind of ran towards the paint. So when Klingan screened Grant's guy, Grant was wide open.
But no, before that, because they made it look like the play was for Denny coming across the other side, and it was actually a decoy to get Grant coming across. But if Denny dives there, he's wide open. It was before Gobert even backed down. He was out on Klingan on the side. So, yeah.
It was a good play design on an inbounds play in the final minutes. Mm-hmm. It just so happened that it was the one time they inbounded from the baseline.
Yeah.
And it was still a play where they're having Jeremy run towards the ball. But, yeah, Denny could have gotten an open layup. Grant gets an open 3, cashes it in. That's a tough shot, too, kind of running into the corner, running to your right as a right-handed shooter. Just huge hit from him. 10 for 16 for the field. Did have 4 turnovers and 1 assist, but the 1 assist he had was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great pass to
Great
Klingan.
lob to Klingan.
It wasn't really a lob, it was like a laser. And
I know.
just turned it into a lob.
That's the thing. He's so tall. You could just throw that on a line, and he's so close to the rim already. But yeah, great game from him. 3 steals, 1 block as well. +9.
Yeah, he had that turnovers right at the end of the first half or second half, one of the 4, and then he had one early in the game too. Same kind of thing where he just drove and threw it away. I'm like, dude, come on. But luckily he got it together in the 4th there. Well, he did have one of the turnovers there at the end with the illegal screen, which I thought was kind of a weak call as well. But
yeah, that wasn't on him though. Denny went too early. That was on Denny. And Jeremy Grant said that to Denny. Like, you, as a ball handler, you have to let your screener get set. If your screener's running into a screen and you start running their direction before they're set, then they're running into the defender and it's a moving screen. So a lot of those calls, like if he may have stuck out his hip a little bit too and sold it, but then he definitely went early.
Yeah. Well, once again, like, so Lamar said something I was thinking, because there were several plays in a row there where Denny was trying to bring it up and McDaniels was guarding him like 3/4 court,
Yeah.
and just all over him.
They were
That's when
gassing Denny because of it, yeah.
that's when you put the screener, just plant him right in the middle and have just Denny dribble right to the middle, and you don't even move. You just have the guy planted there, and you either have to run around him or you get blown up by that pick if you just stand there. So I thought the Blazers could have done that, but that's also something they could have done with like Dame back in 2018. But yeah, it's I thought they kind of made themselves have to set bad screens by not doing it earlier and getting McDaniels off of him around half court, and then Denny could have gone downhill from there. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. That last rebound. If he tried to rebound that aggressively, he would not have rebounding issues, and he would average 7 rebounds a game.
and that's my problem with his rebounding, right? It's always been just like he's an athletic guy who's got length and the ability to go chase rebounds like that. So like why is it such a problem for him to do that?
So it's a mental block. Clearly a mental block. Like 10 seconds to go and you're up a single possession, and like that's him playing hard on the boards. It's the night and day difference. Like this is what frustrates me when Tiago's like, "Oh yeah, we played really hard, but we couldn't grab a defensive board." It's like that's one of the biggest things that playing hard should do for you is get you defensive boards. Like go pursue the ball hard. You know, go grab it. You know, I had that postgame show a couple postgame shows ago, and what did I say? Just go grab the freaking ball. Like, attack it. Don't wait for it to come to you. Go to it and go grab it. That's what he did on that final defensive rebound, and he's very capable of being a good rebounder, but it's such a mental block for him where he just waits for the ball to come to him, and he gets pushed easily. He doesn't really, like, physically battle, and that's why he doesn't get rebounds. But if he went after the ball, like pursued the ball like that, he'd have no problem being a good rebounder at the power forward position. That's why it gets so frustrating for me sometimes. But also that's why it hyped me up so much to see it happen just one freaking time with the game on the line. A rebound probably shouldn't get me that excited. You know, I was excited that they were going to win this game moving to 8th. But just the fact that he went and attacked a rebound, it was like, man, what has gotten into Jeremy? 2 clutch threes, goes and attacks a rebound? I'm probably more surprised by him attacking the rebound than making the threes. So that's the grad experience. Shout out to him for winning this game. Denny Avdia today, 25 points, 7 for 18 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 9 for 11 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 turnovers. I thought he was good today. I thought he got gassed there a little bit in the second half. He said last postgame show that he's still not 100% physically, which is what I've been saying for a while now. But he looked good in the first half. Gobert's length at the rim kind of bothered him. He also had Jaden McDaniels shadowing him all game. That's not easy defensive coverage to go up against, especially in the fourth quarter. We were just kind of isolating him constantly, and he was trying to figure out what to do. So, like, it wasn't the most efficient game. 7 for 18. He was 5 for 13 inside the arc. So that part wasn't efficient, but he also got to the line 11 times. So, you know, while he did miss some shots inside the arc, a lot of times when he attacked, he was getting to the free throw line. So overall, I think this was an efficient game. That's why you look at true shooting percentage, or why I look at true shooting percentage. But 2 for 5 from 3 was nice. The first 3 he hit, I knew it had a... You could maybe say I'm lying, but I promise you, I knew it had a better chance of going in because he released it a little bit earlier. I don't know if you noticed that on the first 3 he made when he shot it, but right when he went to shoot it, this is the type of stuff I look at. He's been released. Yeah. Maybe I'm completely wrong, right? I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not a shooting coach. But it seemed to me he was releasing the ball a little bit late, and he was missing short a lot because of it. It seemed like he was released the ball a little earlier, and it looked better. It looked fluid. It looked like the type of shot he was shooting earlier in the season, then it was nothing but net. And he goes 2 for 5 from 3 today. Had to shoot a grenade, but that was promising because he's been abysmal from 3, so it was really nice to see him go 2 for 5 from 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily noticed that. It just seemed like he was more upright or something, like, and he has a tendency to, like, especially on the grenades, like, to shoot really quick and then pull his hands down really quick. And it looked like he was holding his form a little bit better too.
He was making those
That
threes
might-
earlier in the season, though, when he was pulling his hands back.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The second half had a couple rough moments, but overall, yeah, I'll take this game from Denny.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a solid game. I thought it was. I don't think it was a bad game at all. 8 boards, 5 assists, 25 points for him. Klingan, 21 points. We've talked about him. I mean, we pretty much break down his entire game already. The finish on the break was beautiful. The dunk he had in the first half was beautiful. He's starting to get more aggressive when he has a little bit of space in front of him off the dribble. 1 for 5 from 3. You know what? I'm cool with him shooting five threes. At this point, if he shoots open threes, if it's 5 in a game where he plays 31 minutes, I'm okay with it. He's, I think, a good enough shooter to justify shooting open threes at this point. The 4 assists was nice, the 3 blocks. This month, he's averaging 15 points per game, almost 13 boards, and over 2 blocks, which is just phenomenal numbers.
It's been awesome.
But, like, seeing some of the passing today, like, man, if they just tap into that more in the future, and if he can get a little better finishing around the rim, when you combine that with his rim protection, if he's ever on a team that's like top 3 or 4 in the East or West, hopefully it's the West, hopefully it's the Blazers, right? Like, that's an all-star. That's a guy that can make an all-star game. That's a guy that maybe has more of an impact than his, than, I guess, his, like, I don't know how to word this, like some guys have all-star level impacts, but they're not all-stars because they do a bunch of little things and they rebound and they play defense, etc., right? Like, he's turning into a guy that has that level of impact, in my opinion, right now. But I truly think if there's one young guy that hasn't made an all-star team on this roster right now that's going to make an all-star team in the future, it's him. Because he has the passing potential. He has the shooting potential. He's an elite rim protector. I mean, this month he's been scoring the ball at an astronomical rate. 15 points per game and only 25.6 minutes per game, Hopefully, future years he's playing 30 to 32 minutes and giving you 18 points. Like, it's just funny because he came into the league and, there was, like, theoretical offense, but he was kind of rough around the edges offensively. Had some passing flashes at UConn, but it was the defense that he was drafted for, as well as, like, smart player, sets good screens, big guys, so should be able to finish around the rim when he's somewhat open and, passing potential. But I feel like he's just tapped into so much this year, and it's, like, very promising, the development he's made, but also I still feel like he's not even close to finishing his development. I don't really know what sort of ceiling to put on him at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see him being a very good player that never gets an all-star nomination, but then you look at Gobert, he's a several-time all-star, so I don't see why he can't be in that conversation as long as his defense continues to be elite.
And normally it takes bigs a couple years to develop as well. Like, is he ahead of schedule? I kind of feel like he's ahead of schedule right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because he came in and had an impact, like, right away. So it feels like he's just one of those guys who was, like, never going to be, like, a project, really. I mean, maybe you could say that offensively, but I think most people will definitely say that they didn't see him having this kind of impact this early in his career. So just the fact that he's doing other stuff while also protecting the rim at a pretty elite rate, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think he's making an all-star game in the next 4 years. That's my bold prediction.
Yeah, maybe.
That's my bold prediction. But I said before the season I thought he was going to have a monster year. And he had a struggle there, a stretch where he struggled. But you see what he's done the last month or two? This is what I was talking about. This is the monster year. I was very optimistic on him going into this season, and he's met those optimistic expectations. So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think you mentioned the key part, though. If you're like a high seed, I hate how this is the case, but the higher seeds tend to get more like kind of fringe all-star guys onto it or what. So if the Blazers are like in contention for a top 4 seed or something in January, I think he gets a lot more credit for that than if they're fighting for the 9th or 10th place like they were this year.
Him getting to the level I think he can get to will be a big factor in the Blazers potentially getting to being a top 4 team in the West.
Yeah.
I think in a way it goes hand in hand. Obviously, a lot of other things need to happen that are Donovan Klingan dependent, but yeah, he's been awesome. Drew Holiday today, his scoring's been down a little bit lately. 12 points, 5 for 17 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Did have 12 assists and no turnovers. 5 for 17 sucks, dude, but like he had a good game. He had 12 assists and no turnovers is kind of where I'm at. And he was a plus 14, which was a team high. And the way he ran the offense, the way he set guys up today, the way he took care of the ball today, even though the Blazers still had turnover issues in this game, masterful job in that regard. So happy with that.
Yeah. He was good in that regard. Still has had a few games struggling shooting wise lately, but thought it was pretty solid. I hated the moments. They showed the bench one time, close up of the bench, and Grant, Jeremy, Klingan, and Tamani were all on the bench.
Jeremy, Klingan, and
Grant, Drew, Klingan, and Tamani were all on the bench, and it was like Denny and Chris Murray, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
But I feel like the rotations are still kind of weird, but overall, hard to argue with this playmaking. I just, it's so weird though. Like, he's like obviously one of the top guard defenders, maybe of all time, but like never notice him on defense. Like, do you ever like notice him on defense? It's like he's not there on defense, you know? It's so weird.
I know. Like, it's not good or bad. It's
just like he's never impactful on that end. Like, it's like he's become a well, like obviously his scoring's been better, but like he's become like a pass first point guard, not a defensive specialist. It's so weird.
Yeah. I need to focus on him next game because I do have that feeling. I don't know if anybody in chat can relate to that, but yeah, it's never like he's locking anything up, but it's never like he's really making any mistakes. So he's just kind of, solid.
Are we like hiding him on defense?
I don't know. I mean, what guards have been slowed down this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, you obviously Tamani's on ball most of the time, and like when Scoot's in, you notice him on defense because it's hard not to.
Yeah, because he's fouling every 5 minutes.
Right. Obviously Klingan and Rob get a bulk of the defensive attention when you're watching because, they're always put in positions to have to play on the ball. But it's so weird. There's certain guys that just don't show up. Like they just. I don't know. Like Jeremy's kind of like that too sometimes. If he's in certain lineups, like when he's playing with the starters, you don't notice him that much, and then occasionally he'll make like an off-ball read where he blocks a shot or something, and it's like, oh, there's Jeremy, but like I don't remember anything. Like Drew's like never involved with any screens or like, it's so weird.
Yeah. I'm gonna start paying more attention to him on defense.
Right. I just want to go back and watch this game and just see what Drew is doing the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of defense though, and offense, and basketball in general, Kamara, 34 minutes, 6 points, 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 3 rebounds, no assists, 2 turnovers. I mean, I guess Julius Randle didn't have the biggest game. He had 19 points, was 6 for 16 from the field, but there was 2 plays there in the second half. Maybe it was 2 plays in the fourth quarter where he scored on Tamati, and it was like 1 play. Tamati just pressured him and just easily got beat off the dribble. The defense, I'm still not impressed with. I mean, it's for an average NBA player, his defense is perfectly fine. But for Tamati Kamara, his defense is not good enough, if that makes sense. But the offense, dude. The offense. One of the reasons why the Timberwolves were able to crash the paint on Klingan rolls was because Tamati Kamara was in the opposite corner. And the Blazers aren't doing a good enough job of, like, lifting the guy that's on the weak side, free throw line extended, lifting him to the top of the key and lifting Tamati out of the corner to free throw line extended. So a lot of these times the Blazers are, running pick and roll in the rolls towards the middle, and Tamani's just ends up behind his guy helping behind the roll man. Like, the pass isn't there. And even if it is there, he can't make corner threes, so it's not really a threat. And the guy guarding Tamati in the corner in that second half was just crashing into the paint on the roll. And even if it wasn't Tamati, that was kind of their game plan. But especially when it's Tamati and he's not making corner threes this year, and he's not shooting well lately, and he's not cutting, and there's no movement from those weak side guys to relocate or become a better, more viable passing option in the first place, it allows defenses to really collapse and pack the paint on pick and rolls where the ball handler might be seeing multiple defenders and not have an option to pass the ball to. Or you'll have 2 guys on the roll, man, and nobody else is open at the same time because the way they're set up on the floor, there's not passing lanes to the guys that the defense is leaving. So it's kind of like a team issue in regards to not moving well enough on the weak side on the pick and roll to keep the defense from completely crashing in on Klingan. But also, dude, 0 for 3 from 3. He had a good game last game where he was 3 for 7 from 3. There was back-to-back games against Brooklyn and Indiana. He was 2 for 3 then 3 for 7 from 3. It was like, okay, he's figuring it out. But it was 2 games against bad teams.
Small sample size.
The turnover he had, where he underhand shoveled the ball to a Minnesota Timberwolves player. And then I think he might have gotten scored on after that, or I'm mixing up sequences here. But, dude, like, every game he's due for just a turnover where it's like, what are you thinking? Lock in. Lock in, man. Yeah, just a abysmal game from him.
Yeah, I was hoping that the last couple of games get him out of his funk, and maybe he still can get out of it. But, yeah, and so the thing about Randall, as you kind of saying, Randall only scored 16. Tamani had something to do with that, sure. But, I mean, Grant was guarding Randall a lot in this game, too. Because Tamani's mostly guarding the opposing team's lead, like, perimeter player. And that certainly was not Randall early in this game. So, like, yeah, it was... I don't think you could just say, oh, well, Randall had a bad game, because the plays where Tamani was guarding him, he's scored several times. So I don't know if that's...
I'm going to go look back at all Julius Randle's buckets and see how many of them were against Tamani.
I don't know. But, I mean, he's a physical guy. It's a little bit different of a matchup than Tamani's used to. But, like, Tamani's the type that should be good against physical guard or physical bigger players, and also like, remember last year when he had that awesome defensive game against Jokic, guarding him in the post and stuff like that. Like, that's the type of all defensive team Tamani we need. And I don't know, I do kind of agree with what Exploit is saying in chat. He's playing too many minutes. I almost feel like I don't want him to lose his game streak, because he's one of the few players that have played every game this year in the NBA. But I do wonder if that's kind of taking a toll on him and making him less effective, that he is playing not only every game, but so many minutes in all these games.
He looks slower laterally this year. Here's one of the issues, man. Here's one of the freaking issues with him that's driving me crazy. And this was the second to last Randall bucket. I'm watching it back now. Randall catches the ball, and Tamani's guarding him. And Randall goes to, rip through, and Tamani, instead of, shifting his feet so that he's in position to contain the drive, is reaching at the rip through, doesn't get the ball, so he completes the rip through, and at this point, he's outside of Tamani's shoulders and has a driving lane. And Tamani's, stuck reaching for the ball, and then he has to open up because he's not in position to contain the drive. There's a lot of times where Tamani is guarding a player and is in fine position, but either gets too handsy, pressures the ball a little too much, pressures a hip too much where he just kind of opens the door up, or is sitting there reaching and poking at the ball and the offensive player takes advantage of it. It's not, I don't think it's due to him playing too many minutes. I think it's him not being smart defensively. It's almost like, last year, he's trying to play winning defense, right? He's trying to impact winning games. He's not paid yet. I don't know. Last year I felt like he was just do whatever to win games type of player. And I'm not saying he's selfish, or I'm not saying he's, not out there trying to win basketball games. But I feel like this year he's been caught up far too much in just trying to make a defensive play.
The Matisse Thybulle effect.
Yeah. Where he's reaching at the ball and out of position because of them beat off the dribble, instead of just sitting down in the stance, you're not going to get by me. The play against Vucevic, I know I bring this up a lot, but that is the perfectly indicative play of this issue where the Blazers are up 2. The Blazers are up 2, and Kobe White is driving into the lane against Chris Murray. He doesn't even beat Chris Murray off the dribble, and Tamani Kamara leaves Nikola Vucevic on the three-point line to crash into the paint because he thought Kobe White was going to shoot the ball and wanted to try and block his shot to make a play to seal the game. And they lost the game because of it.
Being told in the timeout, do not leave three-point shooter. Do not leave him under any circumstances.
Yep.
And yet he did anyway to make a play.
Yep. That's the issue. And sometimes it's small things, like somebody starting to rip through and you're reaching, and then when you don't get the ball, then all of a sudden you're beat off the dribble because of it. Because they've ripped through and you're still standing there because you're leaning forward trying to reach at the ball. There's just been a lot of instances of that from Tamani, and it's really hurt his defense. Randall scored 3 of his 6 field goals in the final 6 minutes and 49 seconds of the game, and all 3 of them were against Tamani. All 3 of them were against Tamani. Now, I have not looked at his misses, so maybe I'm not giving Tamani enough credit, because obviously I don't remember every single miss and what exactly led to that miss. So I'm gonna go watch it back right now. But first miss, Drew Holiday did a good job of containing him. Second miss, Klingan, Drew Holiday was guarding him. Klingan blocked him at the rim. Third miss, he missed a wide open 3. Klingan didn't even bother getting out on him. Fourth miss, Tamani was guarding him and did a good job shutting him off and walling up, and that was a good defensive possession. But I wish you guys could see my screen. The difference is when Julius Randle ripped through, Tamani wasn't reaching for the ball and he was ready to move his feet. When he moves his feet, he's a good defensive player. There's far too often he gets beat off the dribble because he's being too handsy or getting out of position or not ready to move his feet. It's extremely frustrating in that regard. Fifth play was good defense from Jeremy Grant, walling him off. Sixth miss came against Chris Murray. Seventh miss came against Chris Murray. Robert Williams helped at the rim. Eighth miss, he slid a fadeaway against Tamani in the mid-range. Was pretty wide open, just missed it. And then he did miss another mid-range against Tamani. There's good defensive possessions that Tamani has. I think where my frustration is when he's playing this bad offensively, he needs to be like all defensive level defensively to make up for it. And he can be. He is certainly capable, but he hurts himself with some of these bad habits that he's developed this year where he's not doing a good enough job of just moving his feet and walling off drives. And then some of the team defense, at times he can be a little aimless with some of his team defense at times because he's trying to play the ball or play a passing lane or get a steal. It's making it so his defense is like okay, but I mean, you look at the way Stars play against us, we don't slow him down. We don't really slow him down. Julius Randle will slow down today, but I mean, it was 3 for 6 against Tamani. Was 3 for 10 against other players because a lot of these were ISO plays. They played through Julius Randle a lot in isolation today. So yeah, this is just where Tamani has to either provide more offensive value. So it's like, okay, you did some nice things defensively today, got beat a little bit, but you also hit some threes, also made some nice cuts, some nice plays. So it's a good game. Like, that's fine. But when he's giving you 6 points in 34 minutes, 2 for 7 from the field, doesn't have an assist, has 2 turnovers, including a really bad one that led to a 3, and was like a big momentum play for Minnesota, that's where it's like, okay, dude, you have to be otherworldly defensively if you're going to play offense like this.
Yep. And there is something to... Okay, you can have, like, great individual team defenders, but if they're always just looking out for their own play and not making the best read that helps your overall team defense, it's going to look like disappointing, like it is for the Blazers this year in terms of overall team defense.
Yeah. And I think that's why the Blazers defense isn't ranked better. I think that's why they're an average defense with a bunch of otherwise above average defensive players, because they don't really play on a string and they have those bad habits like you talked about. Now, somebody said Tamani's second turnover, the one where he tried to shovel the ball forward and sent it straight to a Timberwolves player, they said, oh, the ball got tipped. That does not excuse that play at all. Yeah, Grant was guarding Randle and did a great job of poking the ball free, and Tamani gets it. And Tamani sees Randle, turns so Randle's on his back, and then tries to shovel it underhand. Letting Julius Randle tip it, dude? Like, just being soft with the ball. That's not an excuse. He knew where Randle was. He knew Randle was on his back. Like, you don't turn, see what got to your back, and then try and shovel it underhand. It's easy for somebody, especially a big player behind you, to reach around and tip that. Like, be stronger with the ball. You know what I mean? It's just they have these turnovers where it's like they don't understand what NBA defenders are capable of, even though they're not rookies. Like, this is year 3 for Tamani, man. There's just always these turnovers where they underestimate the ability for defenders to tip a pass or play a passing lane. And it's really frustrating because it's been an issue all year, and a lot of it we blame the coaching staff, but also there's just certain plays from players where it's like, dude, read the defense. Read that there's 2 guys on Klingan before you try and throw a lob to him, or read that there's 2 guys on Klingan before you try and thread the needle between both of them. That's impossible, not going to get there. Oh, you got Julius Randle on your back? Don't just shovel it underhand where he can easily reach around, tip it. And the thing is like, even I don't know, even if he didn't tip that pass, like, I don't even know if he tipped that pass. I don't know what the pass was, just awful freaking pass.
There's a, what do you say about reading the defense? There's someone we're going to talk about in a minute that I'm going to bring that up as well. But not to change the subject real quick.
I mean, we're going to go to the bench, so I assume you're talking about Scoot.
No, Kansas was up 26.
Yeah.
It hasn't scored for 5 minutes. Cal Baptist just scored to make it a 6-point game with a little over a minute left. So, Kansas is struggling.
Yeah,
There's some guy on Cal Baptist is going crazy.
I got St. John's beating them. Here I am watching Tamani turnovers instead of watching March Madness. Dedication, guys.
Yeah. We got Peterson Isa. No, that's not Peterson. That's Peterson.
Turn off the volume before I play it so it doesn't play on stream.
No, that's not Peterson.
My girlfriend's watching this game, I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's just fun, man.
I know. I might have to wrap up the stream. Well, this game's going to be over before we wrap up the stream. But Furman was looking good, man. And now they're down 9.
Miami, Missouri is close.
Well, last year there wasn't a seed lower. There was one 12 seed that won, and there wasn't a seed lower. And this year it's the same thing. And I don't know if that's NIL, but it's kind of a bummer. And it sucks for picking brackets because I like picking upsets, and I picked Florida Gulf Coast when they were 15 seed and won over 2. Like every year I pick 1 to 2 teams seeded 13 or lower, 13 through 15. And I have a decent track record of getting them right, but now it's like I feel like I'm just forcing these upset picks because they don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
The refs tried to make it happen for Kennesaw State last night, but
Yeah.
The Siena upset, I was so bummed when they did not win.
Was that the Duke game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had Duke losing in the following round to Ohio State.
Oh, really?
Which, like, Ohio State didn't win, but Ohio State had been playing great.
Yeah.
But I initially had Duke in my Final Four, but I feel like, they have a couple of injuries. Like, they're more vulnerable than people think. I actually think if they face St. John's in the Sweet 16, I think that game's 50-50.
Yeah.
Unless they get Gongba back.
I think he might play next game, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But like Cam Boozer looks scared in that game. I yesterday resulted in me putting DeBonsa ahead of Cam Boozer.
Oh wow! You just had to see him in person, huh?
Yeah, but like you know what it was? You know what it was? Eric is like DeBonsa was trying to will his team to a win in March Madness. You know what I mean? Like he attacked the moment. Like he tried to put his team on his back. Nobody could do anything. And he's just constantly attacking, he gets hit in the face.
It's a shame Richie Saunders got hurt.
I know, they needed that shooting. But then Siena zoning up Cam Boozer, he's catching the ball at the free throw line and just sitting there with it.
Yeah.
Like, dude. I know it's just like one game, like he could be very aggressive and confident in the same situation in the playoffs in the NBA, and it's not an issue at all. Like, but with how close I feel like these prospects are, and when you're drafting a guy top 3, you're drafting a guy to be like an alpha dog, you're drafting a guy to be that guy that can put your team on his back offensively and carry you. Boozer might be a 23, 24 point per game scorer, but he's not that guy. And I think Peterson and DeBonsa have a chance to be that guy.
Well, that's why I've always had DeBonsa higher, because I've ever since I watched him the first time, I felt like he's had that it factor. Like, this guy could be a star. Like, obviously, he needs to be a little better shooter and stuff, but he just has all the characteristics of a guy who could become a star. Yeah,
he has the tools to be a good defender, but he hasn't really been that.
Yeah.
But he has to. Here's the thing: we can say he has to carry a lot of the offense. Of course, he's not going to play defense, but his best case outcome is doing the same thing in the NBA. So, like, what is he going to be defensively?
Right.
But it's the. Okay, does he really struggle reading the floor in terms of making a pass, or is it just, he doesn't have enough talent around him? GG's. Good run.
Yeah. It's a cool comeback.
Yeah. Yeah. Games tomorrow should be good though. But so I don't know. Boozer's more like elite number 2, where those guys like DeBonsa. Here's the thing. There may be an NBA where DeBonsa's more of a number 1, but Boozer's better.
Yeah.
For winning a championship. Where you don't want Boozer as your number 1 for winning a championship, but DeBonsa might not be as good enough to be a number 1 to win a championship. But his play style is that of number 1, where Boozer's more like an elite number 2 guy, and Boozer is more conducive for winning. So I don't know. It's kind of like which, does that mean teams should draft Boozer ahead of DeBonsa? I don't know. But like DeBonsa, it's at that point, like these guys all have pretty high floors, assuming they're healthy, in my opinion. So it's just like the overall upside and the chance of becoming a guy that can be the best player on a championship team is kind of the differentiating factor for me. So I think on a team that has a number one established, I'm much more inclined to consider a Cam Boozer. Like if the Pacers get a top 4 pick, you have your offensive engine already. I would probably take Cam Boozer number 1 if I'm the Pacers and get the number 1 pick. But if I'm the Jazz, I'm taking DeBonsa. Who are the other teams? The Kings, I'm taking DeBonsa or Peterson. I've thought about being safe with the Kings because they screw up so many draft picks, but it's like, I guess you can't draft scared, so kind of changed my mind on that. So.
Yep.
Anyway, the bench. Let's start with the guy that you were going to, because I'm curious who you're talking about, like in terms of making reads, struggling making reads.
That play Chris Murray had when he dribbled up the court, stops, sees 2 defenders in front of him, and decides to attack anyway. He had no chance of making that shot. And I don't know if he was trying to catch him off guard or what, but he had a brutal, those were his only 2 shots of the game. That one, and he got a kick out 3, but the guy closed out pretty fast on him, and then he had, I think it was Scoot right at the top of the key wide open, or someone was wide open right at the top of the key. He could have swung to for a better 3. But those 2 plays were just like, oh my God, this guy.
I missed this play.
You missed this play?
Well, I'm like watching the game and glancing at March Madness.
Yeah. Are you watching it back now?
I'm watching it back now. Yeah.
Dude, it's so bad.
That's a Sissoko, dude.
At least Sissoko can get up and try to dunk in that situation, so you kind of understand the aggression. But Murray's always shooting from a lower angle. He had no chance.
He had the bounce pass to Grant for a layup. Grant got behind the defensive. I can't stand Chris Murray. There's multiple times where he's dribbling the ball to the half court and he was getting pressured and he's just going from one free throw line extended across the arc without ever looking at the rim to the other side of the floor. Just dribbling in kind of a semicircle around the arc. And it's dude, you don't look like somebody the defense has to respect as somebody that can drive. I don't know. It's here's the thing. A lot of his drives and stuff a lot of the drives that he makes, I feel like against a good physical defense that's locked in, don't work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of his drives work just because it catches the other team off guard. Like I said, that's the only thing I can think of is...
Yeah, but that's what I mean. A good defense, physical defense that's locked in, that's not getting caught off guard by whatever. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That play was just oh my goodness. And then I don't think he played that much after that. But
he played 16 minutes.
Yeah. Did Sissoko play?
So Sissoko played 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Yeah, I don't even remember him
back
playing.
In the doghouse. For now. Man, Furman just hit a tough 3. They're keeping it close, dude. Keeping it close.
I'm going to watch the other game just because it's closer to being over.
I know, yeah, that's generally what I do. I had Mizzou, damn. Did a single 10 seed win? Oh, Texas A&M because St. Mary's is fraudulent. That's right.
Yeah.
St. Mary's is always fraudulent. Damn. Praying on UConn's downfall right now. All right, I got 2 scores.
I mean, Missouri still has a chance in this one. They're only down 6.
We'll see. All the 9 seeds won, too.
No. They're down 8 with an and 1.
Yeah, GG's. Yeah, Chris was... he should not be in the rotation. If he's in the rotation next year, I might sell the channel. I'm kidding. But if he's in the rotation next year, I'm not going to be happy about it at all. At all.
Him and his $5.4 million contract next year.
He shouldn't be in the rotation. Sissoko shouldn't be in the rotation. Yeah. Like, I kind of miss Krejci being out there. I mean, Chris did some nice defensive things in this game, but I don't know. Furman and one. Let's go, man. Come on. All right, I got Luckin on this postgame show to finish it. Yeah, Chris Murray, 16 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 2 from the field. 2 rebounds, though, and a block.
Were they both offensive rebounds?
One was offensive. Yeah. Sissoko played 2 minutes and had 1 rebound, 1 assist, so basically did as much as Chris Murray did in 8 times less minutes. Robert Williams, 17 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 4 from the field, 12 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Like, Robert Williams is cool and all, but, like, the last couple of games has been like, man, Donovan Klingan is, needs to be playing as many minutes as he possibly can right now.
Yeah. Well, at least Klingan played 31 tonight.
Yeah.
Dang, Missouri's down 12 now.
GG's.
This game's over.
Caravan has an open 3, and he bricked it. Furman's only down 6.
All right, I'm switching to that game.
Yeah, Furman's only down 6, man. I believe in the Paladins. Yeah. I believe in
But yeah, I mean, he had that goaltend, 3 turnovers. Isn't good, but I thought he was okay other than that.
12 boards is cool. I don't know. It's kind of those thing where it's like Robert Williams never plays bad enough or good enough he never plays bad enough or good enough for me to really care a whole lot. He's consistently serviceable. And
then Matisse Thybulle, did you see the play where he shot a 3 and it got kicked out to him and he shot an even worse 3 and then like, who does he think he is? Like,
he also should not be in the rotation next year.
He shot like a fadeaway corner 3 on the move. It's like, dude, come on. Like, I know you've been shooting the ball well this year, but you're not that good of a shooter to be shooting those kind of shots.
Yeah, the sidestep 3 I knew wasn't going in. Yeah, I mean, the ones where he's wide open, it's catch and shoot, sure. But anything that's contested, anything that's a sidestep, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. I don't know. I mean, this month he's shooting 35% from the field and 35% from 3. I mean, most of his shots are 3s, but, like, you're talking about a guy who can't really dribble, can't really pass, inconsistent shooter, like, can only hit wide open 3s. Yeah, he gets some steals, but it's like you're just playing a guy to get steals. I don't know. He would not be playing for a good playoff team. The Blazers, if they want to become a legitimate playoff team, they need to start operating like, okay, we're not going to try and slam a square peg into a round hole and play a guy that all these other teams wouldn't put in their main rotation, but we're going to have as our 8th man or 9th man. And with Dame back and, a healthy team, they shouldn't have to next year. But, it's these are the types of guys where it's like I feel like previous, under Chauncey Billups or under Tiago, where even if they were healthy, it's like, oh, we're going to try and play 11 guys for some reason so we can get, Thybulle and Chris Murray and Sissoko some minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of drives me a little bit crazy because they just have limitations. And here's the thing with Tamani playing as bad as he is offensively. When he's playing that bad offensively, it hurts to have other guys that are very limited offensively on the wings playing as well, because they're going to have to play some minutes next to him with how much Tamani plays. And there's nobody that can step in for him on the wing from the bench that can provide the level of offense necessary, where maybe you play Tamani 20 minutes because he's really struggling and you play somebody more because they're giving you an offensive spark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the issue with like the roster construction behind Tamani with Tamani's offensive inconsistencies.
Yeah. Also, this has no relevance to anything, but have you noticed he stopped doing the blink thing since I said something about it?
Yeah. You jinxed it.
Or did like someone mention it to him?
That'd be funny.
It feels like he's trying not to do.
You see the Nets almost beat a healthy-ish Knicks team? Yeah. Don't really understand what went wrong for the Knicks there, but the Tank Commander took it over late, but they almost had them. I also saw Tyler Burton was the leading scorer for the Grizzlies, so he's in the bottom ticker. Do you remember Tyler Burton?
Yeah.
Yeah. From Villanova.
Yeah.
For a second, I was like thinking it was Tyler Harvey. I was like, oh, Tyler Harvey? What? No, it's Tyler Burton. I mixed up names. I don't know if you remember Tyler Harvey.
I remember.
He played at Eastern Washington, like led the nation in scoring.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I think he's.
I was thinking of like
young.
Kevin Hervey or something. Like,
I think he's a
who's that
good.
guy?
Oh, Kevin Hervey. Yeah, I think Tyler Harvey's a good overseas player. Oh, he plays for the Illahara Hawks. And
Nice.
yeah, I think he's like one of the good players in the NBL. Yeah. Anyway, randomness. Scoot, last guy to talk about. What'd you think?
I was really impressed with Scoot his first couple minutes. I think he had 3 baskets inside, including that nice dunk off the dribble.
That looked like G League athleticism, Scoot.
Yeah, he had a couple of nice finishes. Floater, pull up. I think it was like a 5-foot shot. And then the rest of the game, I thought he was pretty bad.
I mean, he had a couple threes that were tough, like a couple late clock threes that were in and out. You know, he goes over 3 from 3 today, but it was close misses, some late clock threes. And he's been shooting the 3 ball really, really well in the month of March, so, you know, not worried about an 0 for 3 night as compared to the abysmal shooting he had earlier in the season. There's just like there's these stretches, especially lately when he enters the game in the first quarter, where he'll like dominate for like 4 minutes and have, you know, 8 points at the end of the first, and then the rest of the game it just kind of like fades. And I don't know why that is, or how to. I don't know. Like it's frustrating because there's these, you know, 4-minute stretches. Like, man, if you could just do that all the time, you'd be an all-star caliber player, you know. And that's what I've always said is it's hard to it's one thing to show flashes for 4 or 5 minute stretches. It's hard to turn that into full games, and then it's even harder to turn that into full games where you're a starting level player and being guarded by the best opposing defensive player and have the game plan against you, you know? So, like, there's steps to this. I would just like to see him be a little bit more consistent. I don't, you know, I think there's issues with the similar mistakes that he's making defensively, where he's getting too handsy and picking up fouls. We've talked about that. And then some of the turnover issues have been frustrating. He had 3 turnovers in this game. I think just cleaning that up a little bit so he can play more minutes, because that's the thing. He picked up 2 fouls quickly in this game. But also with how well he played at the start of this game, you know, and you're not playing him 30 minutes anyway, even if he plays well. Like, you don't need to change the minutes allotment because of his fouls. So he plays, he played 24 minutes in this game. He had 11 points. He was 4 for 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He got to the line 4 times, made 3 free throws, a couple assists, 3 turnovers. Had 3 steals, so, you know, kind of try to make up for it. He had 3 of the 8 Blazers steals. It was an okay game from Scoot, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. I don't feel like he's passing. Like as his scoring has gotten better, like his passing has kind of gone down. But hopefully, he can figure that out.
Yeah, I also don't know, like... Yeah, he's averaging 3 assists per game this month, which he's never been like a 3 assists per game guy. He's never been that low.
No. Like even his rookie year, you could always count on him for getting assists.
But it's almost like his role off the bench is to come in and like score.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's role.
How many turnovers is he averaging this month?
You want to guess? I'm curious what you guess. Like what it
I'm
feels
guessing
like.
it's somewhere around 3 too.
You're guessing 3.
Yeah, if he's doing 3 assists, I'm guessing it's pretty close to.
It is 2.4.
Okay.
3.2 assists, 2.4 turnovers.
Yeah. He's much better than that. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. Just wondering where it's been.
I know. I know. I just want to see him in a different system. I want to see him in a different system. So hopefully next year. But here's the thing: if the Blazers get a 7 seed and look decent in a first round series, I think it's a lot more likely Thiago comes back, and maybe he would come back with a completely new offense, and we'd love it.
Maybe. Scoot. Speaking of the Tamani bad decision, Scoot had a horrible pass trying to hit Klingan on the roll, but he threw it like behind him and way too late. The defense had already recovered on it. And
just trying to force something that's not towards there.
The rim. Yeah. You got to lead him or throw it high. You can't throw it behind him and low.
The pass he had to Scoot that went through his hands, I don't know if that was, Scoot threw that kind of hard, but also that's a ball that Drew should catch that I think was, Drew had no turnover, so it was a Scoot turnover there. Yeah, it was an okay game from him. He's been playing much better lately, so, if he had this game when he had that 7-game stretch where he was playing like the worst player of the league, this would have been a good game in that stretch, but since he's been playing better, it's this game doesn't look as good. But I think large picture, it's just trying to find some sort of consistency in this offense. Because even when he's had good games, a lot of it comes early.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like he's coming in and making an impact early in games. In the first half, he's got to figure out a way to replicate that in the second half, and maybe it's just as simple as staying out of foul trouble so he can stay in a rhythm, and it's not that he can't be as aggressive because he's in foul trouble all the time, and that's getting in his head. But he's got to find a way to play like he did when he came into the game today, because he looked great, and I thought it was going to be an awesome Scoot game, and then he basically disappeared the rest of the game.
Do you think he looks better when the offense as a whole is just flowing and the ball is moving side to side and the ball is moving compared to when they get stagnant?
Oh, of course. I think everyone on this team looks better that way.
Yeah. But I think Scoot especially, like when he's come in and had these good first halves, it tends to coincide with the ball moving well and there being a lot of action. The ball's not sticking on one side of the floor. And then that goes away as the game goes on, and Scoot's performance goes from like, man, he had 8 points in 6 minutes to like, okay, he didn't score the second half or had 2 points, like struggled in the second half. So that's kind of why I want to see him in a better offense, just because I do feel like there might be some correlation there, where he's not having to force stuff in isolation and the defense is packing the paint, because it's hard for a 6'3" guard to attack a good defense that's packing the paint on his drives, and he's not like some super elite shooter that can create a ton of space for himself to be able to deal with that by making, deep threes or a bunch of step back threes, etc. So I do think when the defense is set and able to load up on some of his drives and some of the pick and rolls, that's where you see some of the rough moments. But when the offense is flowing more, he does seem to look better. I'm just trying to put sense to why he's, starting games so well and then struggling, and I feel like there might be a correlation there.
Yeah, like I said, the entire offense just devolves into that in the second half, especially. But it seems like the moments he's doing really well, he's catching the ball, and he makes his first step without a defender up on him. So like you said, the more the movement is, the more opportunities you have to take a dribble before the defender. Like, so he's making a decision going at the defender, and it's a lot easier to make the right decision to go around it. But as the game goes on, it feels like then it's like, okay, play the Denny role where you're just going to have to break your guy off the dribble, and he's up pressuring him at the 3-point line, and you got to go around him. And Scoot right now just isn't as good handling those situations or being able to do that. So I completely agree that on offense where you're catching the ball and attacking more of a closeout than you are just bringing the ball up and the guy's like playing the Tamani defense on you and you're trying to get around him, it's just not working as well.
Yeah. Dude, this game's being played in Philadelphia, and it's 12:34 in the morning Eastern time.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing till almost 1 a.m. That's funny. That's funny. All right, let's take a look at the standings, because I really want to look at the standings, man. I really want to see that 8 next to the Blazers. It's about time. Been talking about this all season. Also, only a game below 500, so almost back to 500. We'll bring back up the take-a-thon thing here since this is what I got. Look at that 8th seed, man. We are 4.5 games behind Phoenix, and they have the tiebreakers, so not gonna catch them. But this is what I talked about with our schedule. We have Denver, like that's going to be a tough game, obviously. But then 4 teams that I absolutely think we should beat: Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Dallas, Washington. Milwaukee without Giannis. Other 3 teams are tanking. Milwaukee wants to tank. So, like let's just say they go 4-1 over the next 5 games. Those are 5 games leading up to this game against the Clippers. The Clippers are struggling. Kawhi isn't 100%. They've lost 4 games in a row, including a game against the Kings and 2 games against the Pelicans, who are playing good basketball lately. And between now and then, they also have 4 bottom feeders in Milwaukee twice, Dallas, and Indiana. Their hard game is against Toronto. That game's at home. So, yeah, they could rattle off 5 wins, but I think, the hope is you match the Clippers over this 5-game stretch. And going into this March 31st game, you're a half game ahead of them, which they are right now, have 1 more win. And if the Blazers are able to win that game and be a game and a half ahead of them, going into the schedule after that, you got New Orleans, Denver, San Antonio before playing them again. Like, yeah, that's a little bit of a tough stretch for the Clippers. I believe they have 4 games in that stretch. They play San Antonio, OKC, Sacramento, Dallas, so maybe a little easier stretch. Like, still probably going to come down to needing to win both these games against the Clippers. But maybe it doesn't. You just got to keep stacking wins and hope the Clippers, falter against Dallas. I mean, they lost to the Kings at home, for crying out loud. So this team was playing really well, and now they're playing really, really bad. Today, they second half of back-to-back. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have Kawhi. I haven't looked at the box score. Yeah, no Kawhi for them today. So I assume that's because the second half of back-to-back, but no Kawhi, no Garland, no Mathurin. So who knows who's healthy? Yeah. They have Norchad Omir?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, Sean Padula. I knew they picked him up, but
I think Omir played one of the games against us earlier in the season.
Did he?
I want to say he played a few minutes against us.
No.
I'm not 100% sure, but
no. I don't think he was up with them. Yeah. He's only played in March.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's funny.
Maybe it was a remix game that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, probably a remix game. But yeah. Blazers ahead by half a game. basically it's shaping up if you're able to beat them twice, you get the 8th seed. If you split with them, it's going to be iffy.
Well, the tough part about splitting with them is then they win this season series, so they'd have the tiebreaker. So then you'd have to outright beat them. If you split with them, then a tiebreaker comes down to other things, but you also put 2 losses on them, and you got stacked 2 wins. So it would look pretty good with the amount of games left if that happened.
But this is just where, like, the loss against the Wizards earlier this season and then the buzzer beater against the Bulls, like, you win both those games where – it's funny because we're like, man, if you just won a couple of these games that you definitely should have won, we'd be talking about this team maybe being an 8th seed right now. And now it's like, man, we are an 8th seed, but if we were, won those games, we'd comfortably be an 8th seed and be talking about the 7th seed, Kind of funny how that works. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Blazers have winnable games coming up. It would be amazing if they could go into Denver and beat Denver. If they win this game, I feel very good about them getting an 8th seed.
Yeah, just don't. Whatever happens tomorrow, don't let it affect, because they have a back-to-back Monday or Sunday. I mean, they have a back-to-back on Monday. Come home to play the Nets. Just you have to beat the Nets. You don't screw it up by losing to teams like that, like the Knicks almost did tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just got to take care of business. I'm not expecting to win against Denver. That's a tough game, but what a great way to finish off the road trip. If, you started off losing that loss to the Sixers, that was just an awful game. And then if you win every game the rest of the trip, including at Minnesota, at Denver, that'd be a great way to finish it off. But, yeah, I am curious. Let's go to playoffstatus.com. I wonder if they have it updated, what the percentages are here. They do not have it updated, but I think we can go here and look at Blazers what if.
Because last time we looked, it was like 30-some% that they would be in the 7-8 game, right? So
yeah, so basically they have
a
what
be higher
if.
now.
Yeah, no, is win next game. This is before this game took place, but it says win next game, which we did. So 50% chance at the 8th seed, 2% chance of the 7th seed. So according to this, we have a greater than 50% chance just based on scheduling and our record and the Clippers' record of getting an 8th seed, which would be awesome. You'd go on the road to Phoenix to try and win that playing game, and if you lose, you'd come home to play the winner of the 9 versus 10. You'd be guaranteed 2 playing games and just have to win one of them to make the playoffs. So it'd be a very achievable goal to make the playoffs at that point. And, the question is, can you win that first playing game on the road in Phoenix?
Yeah.
The other good thing about today that I didn't mention, Golden State lost again. Portland is now a game and a half ahead of Golden State, and of course they have that tiebreaker. So it's looking good that the Blazers will at least have a home playing game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, love to. Whoops, I'm not going to show the Furman game on the screen. I'm not gonna.
You'll definitely get.
No, I won't, because you collab cammed before you could say the word to alert the bots that track that. Anyway, what good timing for the collab cam.
Yeah.
This game's over. Damn.
Best app ever. The March Madness Live app.
If Bilodeau comes back, UCLA is going to beat UConn.
My Oregon State boy.
Because he didn't play today.
Yeah.
But if I don't know if he's able to come back. He's questionable today. If he's able to come back against UConn and play like himself, they're beating UConn.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with UConn. Also, St. John's, watch out for them to beat Duke. That's my March Madness predictions right now.
Trevin says, what if we win the play-in as the 8th seed? Then we won't get a home game. But then we are guaranteed.
We get a home game in the playoffs.
We get 2 home games in the playoffs that way.
Yeah.
Against either you're playing Wemby, so Portland fans finally get to watch Wemby play in Moda Center, or...
Nobody would have thought the first time would be him in... Has he really never played a game in Moda Center?
I feel like he's always out when he plays in Moda Center. Maybe he's played one, but I feel like he's always out when we... Like, do you remember playing against them, the
I
Blazers?
feel like he's played one. I'm gonna look at his game log. He has not once played against the Blazers this season. How many times have we played the Spurs this season? Twice at least, right? Yeah. He has not played against the Blazers home or road this season.
Yeah.
Last season. Yeah, last season he played a game at Portland.
Oh, okay. What part of the season was that?
December 13th.
Okay, so
They won 118-116. He had 2 free throws with 2 seconds left. I don't remember this game. Sohan had bright green hair. And let's look at the stats for this. Anthony had 30 points. Jeremy had 32 points. Tamani had 8 points in 38 minutes. But had 4 blocks. When was the last time Tamani had 4 blocks? Maybe this game. Jabari Walker started, and Shaden Sharp started and had 11 points in 33 minutes, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Denny came off the bench. This is when Denny was coming off the bench. He had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in 26 minutes. And only played 26 minutes. And Scoot was 2 for 9, 0 for 6 from 3. Klingan played 15 minutes off the bench. Yeah. Oh, I remember some of these games where like Ayton didn't play and Klingan still didn't start. They started Jabari Walker at center instead, and it was just super annoying. I think I remember this game because I was mad that Klingan didn't get to start against Wemby. Instead, they started Jabari Walker, who's like, 9 inches shorter.
Smaller, quicker guy on him, yeah.
Yeah. And Delano Banton played 8 minutes in that game. Shout out to Delano Banton.
Yeah.
1 point, 0 for 3 from 3. Untouchable. Delano Banton.
UConn won.
Bummer. Yep, no seeds lower than 12th. Only one 12 seed. It is literally like last year. Just straight chalk. Hopefully it's not 4-1 seeds in the Final Four again. I don't think it will. I don't think it will be. I think I don't know. I don't think UConn's a good challenge for Duke. I think St. John's is a better challenge. I think St. John's is the team to watch out.
They'll play that. They'll play Kansas or St. John's winner before that. But yeah, I mean, Duke should easily beat TCU. But yeah, that St. John's Kansas game is going to be good, and then the winner plays Duke. So
I thought Ohio State would be tough for Duke, but then again, there's a Big Ten team that was playing well that I trusted for some reason going into the tournament. So
how dare you?
Yeah, it's stupid of me. Did he play his rookie year here? I'm going to check that.
Yeah, so Trevin said he played in December, both 23 and 24.
Yeah, December 28th. Yeah, so twice. He's played twice in Portland.
In 3 seasons, yeah.
But if you just don't remember Decembers like Eric, then this will be your first time watching them in Portland if Blazers can match up against them in the playoffs.
I remember playing against him in Summer League.
Yeah.
Was that his debut in Summer League or whatever? But yeah.
I am really bad at remembering like games from earlier in the season. I feel like even in the same season. It's always trippy to me. Occasionally I'll go watch old post-game shows from games I don't remember and just listen to myself talk about the game because I don't remember it at all, and it's kind of trippy.
Yeah.
Chat, I don't know if you guys do that, but you can go back through like 7 years of post-game shows and click on a random game from 2021. You know, you could click on a post-game show from the bubble in the summer of 2021 in the middle of the day, for example. Like, it's kind of a time capsule. It's kind of interesting. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that, but I do that from time to time. Yeah, Garage Eric. Whoa, why am I moving my camera?
I all of a sudden went way over to the side, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. Don't know why I did that. But yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Next postgame show on Sunday after the Blazers take on the Denver Nuggets. This was an absolutely fantastic win for the Portland Trail Blazers, just to win a game that, fourth game of a road trip against a good team that they haven't been able to beat. I know it was in the Blazers' favor in regards to the injury to Anthony Edwards, but it's a good win. We'll see if they can keep up the momentum, man. I don't know. I guess I gotta start thinking about playing content. Like, do I do a preview for the playing game? Because previews for regular season games don't do any numbers. Nobody watches them. But for a play-in game, yeah, I don't know. I gotta spice up the content. I know you guys said you want to watch parties for the playing game. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to do all that. Maybe I'll do a halftime stream. Maybe we'll do a halftime show.
I'd be more down for an in-person, we just all got together and watched it, maybe.
Well, if you guys know a restaurant, yeah, I don't know. I want, next year maybe we'll have a restaurant sponsor that we do watch parties at. I could probably get one if I spent the time on it, but Trevin's going through old box scores, shouting out Ibu Baji.
Yeah. Well, hope everyone has a good weekend. For those of you that are in school, have a good spring break and all that. But we do hope to see you. That early game, 2 o'clock tip, so 4:30-ish post-game show on Sunday.
Yep. I'm going to Seattle next weekend, so I'm going to have to figure out what the post-game streams look like. I might be drunk at a hotel for a post-game show. That could be fun if we're winning basketball games,
It's for opening weekend, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm driving up Thursday, staying through Sunday.
Cool.
I'm just going to go the whole series.
Nice.
Yeah, try to go to more Mariner games this year. Try to do more things. But luckily the Clippers game is the Tuesday after that, so it'll be a full go for that. But, appreciate you guys. Enjoy March Madness. We'll be back on Sunday to recap the Blazers taking on the Nuggets. That game's at, 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Freaking Sunday games, man. Freaking early Sunday games in the middle of March Madness on a freaking Sunday. But, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your night. Leave a like on the video, on the live stream if you haven't already. Easiest way to support us. Subscribe if you're new. Share with a Blazer fan for this upcoming stretch run. It's been a while since we've gone on a stretch run. Normally we're talking about how hard we can tank right now and lamenting wins. It's a little different now. Which I'm enjoying. Hopefully you are as well. Blazers win. 1 game below 500. They're officially in 8th place. They have a real shot at this thing. I've been talking it up all year. I've been trying to speak it into existence. It's in existence now. Hopefully it will remain to be in existence. We'll have to wait and see in this upcoming stretch of games. We are out of here. Have a good rest of your Friday night. Have a good weekend until Sunday. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!